his death was magical, and I knew it would be because it was Tom. So he's even left me with memories of that, of how magical it was. And he was just an incredible person. And I can't believe he's not here. That I just think it's that. You just can't believe that they're not here and that I've had to live this and I'm never going to see him again and that I've lost my soulmate. It's just...
My name's Ashley Cain and I am the father of an angel. Hey, Kelsey.
Hi.
Bring it in. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Please sit. This was a tough conversation.
Sometimes I lay in bed and I think, I'm never going to have that joke with him again. And you even get that thought of that as well, like, oh, would it be better if I was just with him now?
It was difficult to try and really tap into Kelsey because I know how much she's trying to protect her energy for the ones around her that she loves. How do you explain that to your children?
Honestly, it's the hardest conversation I've ever had to have. I just said to her, I'm going to go and see Dad at the hospice because I've got to make sure that the angels take him today.
But I learned a lot and I believe that she's an inspirational lady.
There was only one Tom Parker. It's just made me a different person now. Like, I'm never going to be the Kelsey that I was 2 years ago.
Who has a lot to say to help people that may be suffering the same thing. I'm Ashley Cain, and this is MTV FACES. So I guess I wanted to start off by asking you to tell us about Tom. You know, even when Tom had his illness, he was still amazing. He was still full of light.
Yeah. He
was still inspiring and he was still trying to help. You know, I got the impression that Tom, and especially you guys around him, you weren't prepared to give up.
Oh, no. For me, I think what you give out is what you get back. And if you're positive and you're out there and you're like, Tom, you're going to fight this, you're going to be okay. Like, honestly, I never thought Tom was going to die until the week he got really ill and he died within a week. That's the only time I thought, oh, this is going to happen. Other than that, I did not think he was going to die because from the moment he was diagnosed, I was like, we're not going to cry. Come on, let's go home and we're going to get on with this.
And it takes, you know, do you ever give yourself credit for that? Because, it takes some person to be able to do that, you know, without going into their own shell. You know, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to look what's in front of them and make the most of it and hold it with both hands and take lead. So I think if you haven't already, I think you should be able to look in the mirror and be proud of who you were during that journey, you know, and who you've become since. Can I ask what it was like in that week where you said that Tom really deteriorated? And the reason I ask you that is because a lot changed for me during that time. You know, it's upsetting and it broke my heart and it still does now, but that journey was difficult, seeing what my daughter had to go through, you know, more than difficult. It broke my heart every day.
Yeah.
But when I got told that there was nothing else they could do and we had to take her home and the signs of the cancer started to show, that really took away my soul. You know, things changed then for me. I wasn't filled with hope. I wasn't filled with joy. I just felt like I was filled with pain and surrounded by darkness. Can I ask what that week that you explained about was like for you?
For me, it was an out-of-body experience. Like, it wasn't me there. I was sort of like floating along and all my friends were there and everyone was just like taking me to these places and I was going up and being with Tom. The night before, everyone had come to my house and I honestly had like 20 people downstairs, but I went up to sleep and I woke up in the morning and my best friend Kelsey came to get me. She said, come on, we've got to go to the hospice. And I said, I don't think I can go. And it was literally like someone had dropped bricks on me.
Yeah, dropped a weight.
It was just like weighed me down. I thought, I can't actually get up.
Yeah. When I was there when Azaylia passed away, I mean, it's something that I feel really embarrassed about, you know, and I feel a bit shameful for, but when she took her last breaths in my arms and when she didn't breathe again, I literally went into a state, like, I needed medical attendance because I stopped breathing myself. It's like I felt like instantly that part of me left me. You know when you rewind 2 years before?
Yeah.
You can never imagine that you're ever going to be in that situation, right?
Well, you never think it's going to happen to you. You never think this is going to happen to you. This is stuff that you see in films.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen to you. It's not going to be your husband. It's not going to be your daughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with Tom, it was like I asked him like, who does he want there when he passes?
Yeah.
And it actually happened that it was just me. It was just me and him. And for me, when Tom died, I saw his soul leave him. And then I was okay because I'm like, well, his soul's with the rest of the souls now, and the souls are endless. So energy can't be destroyed. He's here. They're with us all the time. So literally, after he took his like final breaths, I kissed him on his head and I left, and I never went back in that room, and I picked his bag up and I never went back to see him. But for me, that was his body was left. That wasn't Tom anymore. That was just the shell that he used in this lifetime.
I think that's a really beautiful way to look at it.
But it was actually Tom who was the spiritual one. He used to say to me all the time about death, and we used to talk about it, and I was like, Tom, when you die, that's it. And then when he got ill, I was on this journey, and I was like, he took me on the journey with him because he knew that I had to learn lessons. And are we here to learn lessons? I think that's why we're put here.
Yeah.
So he definitely took me on the journey that he wanted so that I would have peace for when he had to go. That's why I think, you know, it like what you're saying, everything I learned, like medically, spiritually, like it's just made me a different person now. Like I'm never going to be the Kelsey that I was 2 years ago.
And
Never ever. I'm never ever going to be that person again. His death was magical, and I knew it would be because it was Tom. So he's even left me with memories of that, of how magical it was. And I think even the nurses were like, oh, wow, okay. Like he was just an incredible person, and I can't believe he's not here. I just think it's that. You just can't believe that they're not here, and that I've had to live this, and I'm never going to see him again, and that I've lost my soulmate. It's just like what I'm saying. The hospice is just a blur. You just how do you explain that to your children? And I guess the reason I ask, because I lost my child, so I haven't got the difficulty of explaining it to a little one, you know. But I know that my sister, my brothers, I think they've explained it in a way, but I think they found that part difficult because for a lot of the children's lives growing up, it was like, oh, Azaylia, and they all ask about Azaylia, where is Azaylia, or Azalia's up there. Yeah.
What was the process like for you explaining it, and how did you really go about it? Because I can imagine that being one of the most difficult things that you had to do.
Honestly, it's the hardest conversation I've ever had to have.
Yeah.
And I came back it was actually when I knew he was going to die because his breathing had changed. Obviously I was always there with the kids. It was always me and Tom, but we'd disappeared for this week. It's like, where's my mum and dad gone? And Aurelia was really asking, like she was out with my auntie and she was in a shop telling them about her dad being ill. So we knew that she was processing something. So I just said to her the day he was going to die, I said, I'm going to go and see Dad at the hospice because I've got to make sure that the angels take him today. So they're going to take Daddy and he'll be gone, but he'll be around us, but he's not going to be here. And then when I came back in the evening, and then we woke up the next morning, and I just said, Daddy's not here anymore. He's in the sky with the angels and the butterflies, and they accepted that. But it's now. I now get so many more questions, and she's very bright for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So, you know, she'll say, why has her best friend got a dad and she's not got a dad anymore? And I said, you do have a dad, he's just not here. And then obviously where Tom was famous would be like out shopping, and then it would be a picture of Tom. She'd be like, is my dad coming back then? And where he was like on tour and he'd done like, they'd relaunched their album. So she was used to him going away. So she was a bit like, well, why is he not coming back, Mum? Yeah. And it's hard because it's like, it's the questioning, and then I have to obviously relive it again and say that Daddy's not coming back. And it's hard because what do you say to a child? You say like, yeah, you're not like any other child now.
Yeah.
And then Bodhi's, he'll say, oh, my dad's in the sky. Do you know my dad's in the sky? So then I'm going to have to relive it again with him.
Was it important for you, because your approach was, you know, very instantaneous and very direct? Was it important for you to do that straight away? Because a lot of people, I mean, I'm asking this question because I was very intrigued, and I'm also asking it because I know that there's going to be a lot of parents out there that probably have to take this step or will have to take this step.
Yeah.
Did you think it was important, you know, I need to get home, I need to say this, it needs to be transparent?
I just think you can't blur the lines for them, because everyone is guaranteed to die.
Yeah.
So this is death. Daddy's not coming back. We're not going to see him until we go to see Dad. That's that's when we'll see him.
Yeah.
But even like obviously using the word die, like dead, die. I said, I'm going to go and die in my head. She was like, where are you going? What are you going to do, Mum? Like, do you know what I mean? It's picking up on them. Whereas I said, no. Well, and again, you can't promise that you're going to come back, because we are all guaranteed to die.
Yes,
so I can't even
100%.
promise her that I am going to come back from somewhere, because something could happen to me.
Yeah.
It's just, it is really hard. But I think I take my steps from them and what they're asking me and what they're questioning me.
Which is a great way to do it. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the fact that, number one, you were able to do that and you did do that, because I don't think there should be any blurred lines. Because I think one thing that's quite taboo in the UK is the topic of death.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people find it now. I mean, I was guilty of it before. You know, if I had a friend and someone passed away, I'd find it really hard to approach them. I wouldn't know what to say. Whereas now, because I've gone through one of the most tragic losses you can have, I know that it's very important to just be there. Do you think that we should kind of be more normal and normalize the topic around death, around grieving, around, you know, being able to approach and talk to people? Because, you know, in our situation, one thing we do need to do is be able to talk, right?
Yeah, and it's like the initial conversations where people go to, how are you? And you're like, what? I don't know how you want me to answer this. Do you want me to answer this as a widow and losing my husband, or are you actually genuinely asking me how I am? Like, I don't know, because, you know, like they'll give you the face as well. I think that it should be normalised, because, like I'm saying, we are all going to die.
One thing that's a fact in this world,
it
you know,
is a
we're
fact,
all born and we're all going to die.
Why? I don't know why we don't want to talk about it. But I guess because we've lived it, it's normal to us.
I think, yeah, it's normal, but I think one thing that I've been transparent with and what I've always said is, yeah, you have to face this. You have to face every single emotion that you're feeling. You are never going to be able to run away from the storm, because it would always catch up with you. You need to run head on into it, you know. And for me, I feel like when I am feeling emotional, when I am talking about Azaylia, they're the most beautiful times I've actually got. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think it should be normalized. And I think people should, if I could send a message to people out there, I'd say, like, you know, if you're going to come and ask me about my daughter, don't ever start with sorry, because you're giving me an opportunity to talk about the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, you know, and I like to voice it. I was speaking to someone the other day, which is really crazy. And they said, like, is it hard being in the public eye, having lost someone? Because, you know what, everyone you see is going to ask you about it. You know, you're always going to see reminders. And when I actually had to deeply think about it, I think it's helped me. Because, you know, like I said, that one of my missions is, you know, when I wrote my daughter's eulogy, like, I wanted everybody in the world to know my daughter and how amazing she was. And luckily, a lot of people in this world do. But then that makes me have to think about somebody that doesn't have, like, the privilege that we have, being in a position where our situations are known out. My daughter, your partner, is known. That people could be walking around on a day-to-day basis. No one knows how they feel, and no one's acknowledging the person that they've lost. You know, you ever thought about it that way around? Yeah. You know, like, sometimes we can always think, oh, it's difficult because we always see reminders. Someone's always asking us. But then I flip it around on the other part, and I thought, I wonder if nobody asked me about my daughter. I wonder if nobody come up to me and told me how beautiful she was. I wonder if nobody said that they had so much love for her, how I would feel. And that's a kind of force mechanism for us, because we do talk about it. And I feel like that's why I find it to be so important that people out there that are watching do share their grief, do talk about their loved ones, don't feel uncomfortable about speaking to a random person about it or their family, because there's a lot of faces to grief in terms of yours, mine, and everybody in this world. Is there any times where, you know, you feel like you have to be somebody that you're not feeling like that day for the life that you have to live now?
For me personally, no, because I think I am that person that what you see is what you get. And if I'm in, I think I'm probably more shocking to someone asking me how I am, that I'm so like matter of fact, and maybe they're a bit like, oh, I didn't really want to hear, like they don't want to hear it, do they? Yeah, I just think, yeah, I'm just me, and however I'm feeling, I will explain to people how I feel that day.
So we understand, how are you feeling? And I'm not asking like, how are you today? I'm fine. How are you feeling?
I'm definitely in a different place where I was 6 months ago. I think the moment we've had Christmas. Christmas was really hard for me, and I've got, you know, he's in March. It will be a year since he died, and I think for me it's how do I get to March now? And I keep just getting waves of like I've lost a set of keys.
Yeah.
And it's just like a feeling.
And you know what? It changes. You know, my first year was far different to my second year. You know, my daughter's second year anniversary is in April, so a month after. And I think grief never leaves us. I think it changes, and I think that's what we have to change with it. I always say that, you know, our grief won't ever get smaller. It's how strong we get outside of it.
Yeah.
What do you do to, you know, what do you do to mark these occasions, or, you know, how do you cope with it around those times?
On his birthday last year, we did a 5K walk and then a massive family fun day for where we live. It's just celebrating him, but I find them occasions okay. Like, do you get what I'm saying? That like do you know when people go, oh, it's the birthday, but I actually, because I'm prepared for them, I'm okay. What gets me is seeing something and it bringing it back to Tom.
Yeah.
So I can cope with. Some people say the second year is worse than the first.
Like I said, the second year is difficult because, you know, the first year, everything's extremely raw. In that first year for me, it was very much the shock of her not being here anymore, you know, and I just had this initial, like, I want her around, I miss her, I can't believe what she's been through. And then when the second year came in, the wave changed. It was like, it's getting longer and longer since I haven't seen her. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember her. I'm trying to remember what she feels like. I'm trying to remember kissing her. I'm trying to remember smelling her. And it's getting further and further away. And the reason why these challenges have become important to me now is because when I'm going through that pain and when I'm pushing and challenging myself, I can really connect with the person up there that I love. And I don't know, it's weird how, you know, occasions like Azaylia's day when she had her funeral was like, you could say the most difficult, not the most difficult because losing her was the most difficult, but one of the most difficult days of my life. But I still found it important to, you know, when we could, to play music, to celebrate, to give her something to look down on. Yeah. Which shown how important she was, how much she brought us together and how impactful she was to our lives. So I kind of get that. But then on the other occasions, I just feel numb. You know, Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, like that's when I have to do my challenges because I think I'm already in a lot of pain, but I need to go somewhere to feel even more because I need to connect with you today. I feel like sitting down for me on this day is going to be no good for me. It's going to be no good for anyone. It's definitely not going to be good for you watching down. So we're going to achieve some things on these occasions, you know, and that's how I have to dig deep. And I like the fact that, you know, you went on your walk and then you had a celebration, you know, you worked the body, freed the mind, and then...
But it's all about celebrating them. There was only one Tom Parker. So it's just, like, for me, it's them days that I can just remember and like, think about him. And like what you're saying, it's sometimes I lay in bed and I think, I'm never going to have that joke with him again. Like, as a couple. Like, and little things that I would text him during the day, you miss them so much.
You miss them. And then, you know, in that moment, like, I always say, like, to people out there, you know, people that get crippled by it. I used to be like, you're in pain anyway. You're already in pain, you know. So you can either get pushed in a corner and you can let it just take over your life, or you can start trying to swing out. It's like, you're gonna hurt anyway. You could lie in bed all day,
and you're so right.
You could not adventure out there. You could not try and do anything to honor the person that you've lost, or to try and help the people around you, or just for you to feel a little bit like you again. Or you could go, you know what, I'm in a bit of pain. Let's swing. Let's fight. And let's do something with the rest of my life. Not only for me, for the person I love, and for the people that I care about around me. And I like the fact that you are doing that.
You're so right, because you could lay there. Like at the beginning, I could have just never got out of bed ever again.
Yeah.
And
it's hard, right?
And you even get that thought of that as well. Like, oh, would it be better if I was just with him now? Like,
you do, and it's so good you said that, because you come across, very matter of fact, and that's because probably that's how you've had to be through the whole journey, But I know that it's not that easy, is it? You know, like this, it's every single day is a challenge. Every single day is a fight, isn't it?
I have a village. I always talk about the village. Like, I would not have been able to get through this if it wasn't for my family.
Yeah.
Like, they are incredible.
Yeah.
You know, even when Tom was diagnosed, the village stepped in. My mum, my auntie, my best friend Kels, my cousin, like, and now they have to step in even more for me because I am a solo parent.
Yeah.
So I need help from people.
Yeah. What's a process that with, you know, all of Tom's things? I mean, I've got so many things with Azaylia stuff, and it's very recently that we've had to kind of visit that area and try and sort everything out, which was possibly one of the hardest things, you know, being in those rooms, sorting through the stuff. Have you kind of come to a conclusion what you want to do in that area yet?
No, I've got a whole like studio set up. Wow. So I've got mics and stuff everywhere, and obviously I'm not a music producer, so it doesn't benefit me, but what do I do with it? What do I do with his computer? Like, I don't actually know what to do. I can't bring myself to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Tom wasn't really like a materialistic person. He liked nice things, but he was never materialistic. So actually when he died, I gave my younger brothers, I just said, come and take what you want of his clothes. Yeah. Because I like it now. So, you know, when they're walking around in his clothes, I actually like seeing them in it. And I'm glad that they've not gone to waste. And he would have wanted them to have it because he absolutely loved them and adored them. They were like his brothers. So, you know, things like that, I'm glad I did, but I did that literally straight away. So I ripped the Band-Aid off and went, right, come and take what you want. But now I've got a wardrobe full of clothes. I've got, you know, his phone. Like, there was one point that I wanted to keep the number on, but why would I keep a number on that doesn't exist anymore? Like, it's just, there's so much to think about. And obviously for me as well, it was closing Tom down as a person. You know, the bills, the ringing the mobile phone companies and going through it and reliving it. Yeah. My daughter's just got a job in a film, and they were putting the license through, and all the details were Tom's details to put this license through. And they rang me on Friday and she said, oh, should we leave the details the same? And I said, oh, what details have you got? Not even thinking that it would have been Tom's details. And the lady said, oh, we've got Tom, blah, blah. And I went, oh no, you have to take him off. She went, oh, well, it's easier just to leave him on there. Obviously, she's thinking that I've separated with my partner. I said, oh no, he's dead. She went, oh, I'm so sorry. Right. And then, like, but why would he stay on a line? He can't. He's not a person. Yeah. It's little things that
you have to revisit.
Like, and that shocked me on Friday because I didn't think that she'd say she had his details, and I was like, oh right, yep. Can we remove him? And then it's funny because Aurelia was around when I was on the phone, and then she went upstairs with my older brother when we were saying to him in his bedroom, then started talking about her dad because she listens to everything. So then that's triggered something. So then that Friday night is then a talk about dad and where dad is now.
But I think that forced kind of, you have to do that, you know, because you've got, you know, Aurelia and Bodhi there, two beautiful kids, and they are gonna they are going to go through these periods where they are going to ask. But I think that's a forced way to help, you know, you be able to cope and you be able to deal, because you physically can't run away from it, can
No.
you? And I think as well, you know, all these things that you're facing in terms of, you know, you making a quick decision to get rid of his clothes, but then you not knowing what to do with a studio. I think all of this is okay.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, you think, what would Tom want? And I think when you realize what Tom would want and when you're ready, they're the times to make it. I don't think we should like be in any rush during these situations. I don't feel like we should be thinking we should be acting a certain way or shouldn't be acting like another. I think, you know, if we look in the mirror and we sit in our own self enough, we know what the right things are to do. We know what the right times are to do them. And I think we just have to be honest with ourselves and gentle with ourselves in that kind of environment, and don't put too much pressure on it.
Yeah,
just
it's
go with what
definitely
you feel right.
the gentle approach, because sometimes I can be quite harsh on myself.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the incredible things that you've done since Tom's passing, and, you know, what kind of light you want to spread to the world now through your darkness, you know, what you've learned from him, what you want to kind of achieve.
Well, you know, for us as a family, when he was diagnosed, it was that brain tumours get like 1% of funding. And also I saw something the other day that was like every 2 hours someone's diagnosed with a brain tumour. So, you know, I need to help there. And it's sort of like Tom was doing all this work and then he's now like passed me over the baton and been like, here you go, Kels, you can carry on what I was doing. Just raising awareness again for grief. It's okay not to be okay. We can talk about these things. And, you know, I trekked the Sahara Desert.
But it's okay to not be okay. But like you said then, I trekked the Sahara Desert. But you're doing something about it. You're doing something with it. Do you know what I mean? You've got a direction that you're going in.
Yeah. It was such a challenge, but I'm so happy that I did it. And it gave me that thinking time, because I definitely didn't process, when Tom first died, I didn't process the fact that he'd actually died. And I was like, just on autopilot. And then it took me like a good, like 6 months to be like, he's actually not ever coming back. Like, this is it. So definitely in the Sahara was great, because we walked and we talked.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant for me.
It's, you know, it's not funny that you say that. It's crazy that you say that, you know, you found it hard to actually really realise that Tom was gone and he's not coming back. And it's great that you stepped out your comfort zone and challenged yourself, because that's kind of what I believe in. You know, rather than feeling sorry for yourself in that situation, if you actually love that person, you want to honor their life, don't you? You know, you want to continue that legacy. You want to show them, like, you know, in your passing, it won't be in vain. And look what I'm doing as a result of being around you. Yeah. You know, look what you've made me do. Do you feel like you want to continue to do these things, not only for yourself, but because of how amazing Tom was?
Yeah. And it's just everything you just said, just all of that. Yeah. It's, you know, like 33, Tom was 32, 33. It's like no age to die and to leave his kids behind. And everything I'm doing is for them to just celebrate their dad, because then they'll have a part of him somewhere. That it's, you know, I talk about guilt a lot. There's so many different elements of guilt. You know, I just feel guilty that they've not got a dad now and that he's not here. And he would have been such an incredible dad. Yeah,
no doubt. Is that one of the hardest things, you know, in this process, guilt?
Yeah, for me it is. And the guilt is just, it's silly for me to have guilt, but you can't change that. Yeah. I feel guilty sometimes that I'm here living and I have my kids.
Yeah. I mean, number one, you really have got nothing to be guilty about or for. But I can relate to her. I mean, I can't understand why I'm the one that's here and she's the one that's in heaven. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I can't ever forgive myself for, you know, when you're a kid, you fall over, you graze your knee, you experience all these things in life, you know, up to being an adult. So that when you have kids, when they fall over and graze their knee, you can kiss it better and tell them they're going to be okay. Yeah. And I just can never seem to forgive myself for the fact that the biggest thing that will ever happen to a person and the biggest journey they will ever go on is they're passing to the other side. And I wasn't there to greet my daughter to go there, you know, when she got there. And I don't really know how I'll get over that part. And I don't know whether I kind of need to. But I think that is a really difficult part of the grieving process, which is hard to heal, isn't it? Because you can't, it's not like finding a purpose will help you heal the guilt. It's not like how much good you do in this world will heal the guilt.
And I think even with the guilt, it's even how much you talk about it, you'll still have that niggle somewhere.
Yeah.
And for me, it's I just get like waves, like what you were saying about, you know, sometimes I go back to him dying and I'm there in the room with him and I'm like, oh, I just want to get out of this room and not watch that again.
I always think there's a thing where, you know, when you look at yourself in the mirror, and this is the only kind of reception that I need, I look at myself in the mirror, and if I'm happy and I'm content with the person that's looking back, what that person's achieved and who they've been that day, that's the only validation I need. And that seems like exactly what you've done. You've took on this journey. You've been strong. You've had your chin up. You've had your chest out, and you've unapologetically been yourself. Yeah. And I think that's how you need to stay. Definitely.
And I think sometimes that is hard for other people, isn't it, to look at and go that you are unapologetically yourself and that you're in your power.
You know, before I came here today, I'd never done this before. Yeah. You know, I was nervous, you know. I'm revisiting harsh topics for myself. Yeah. We're revisiting, you know, painful topics with you. And when I looked in the mirror, I thought the best person I ever was when I was in the hospital with my daughter. For the first time in my life, I was able to be me. Yeah. And I thought, and that's how I'm going to walk in today. And I think that's why, more than anything, you should be proud of yourself and you should keep doing it. And it's been absolutely amazing to talk to you about your journey. Like, you've done amazing and you're a great person. And, you know, keep creating that amazing legacy that Tom started and keep being a great mom for your children and keep, you know, inspiring and lifting people in this world.
Thank you.
No worries. Can we hug now?
Yeah, can we hug?